Booyah shaka. We're doing it. I like the last minute, like glasses, no glasses. I wish I could just do no glasses because my when I have the best natural lighting right now but when I have a ring light on, I just look like I am possessed with just angelic beams coming out of my eyeballs, but I can't see a single thing without my glasses. But
Uh,
I like how you're still going back and forth. I didn't mean to call you out on it. I'm just like
oh no. Now
I'm
that's the
hanging out
glory
with
of getting old. It's like, depending on what I'm looking at, I've got 20 different pairs of glasses depending on what I'm trying to read and where how close I am to it and
I
such.
never needed
It's awesome.
glasses. It was because of computer screens. I needed them in eighth grade. I realized I couldn't see the whiteboard from far away. And
Yeah.
then the doctor was like, "Do you look at computer screens like late at night in the dark, up close?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, all the time." And they're like, "Stop doing that." And I didn't learn a thing. I'm like, can I magnify this and get this going, like make sure it's crisp and stuff? But it's
Yeah.
whatever. We're all decaying. It's a good time. We're having a good time, and I'm having a good time with
Yeah.
my good friend Rodney Norman right now. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to have you hang out with me right now. This is dope, man.
It's a pleasure.
Oh my
It's a
God. We
pleasure.
I haven't seen you in a long time, but we go back, we're comedy grandpas in this game and stuff. I was actually like I never do these any sort of formal intros. I was just kind of explaining that to you, but I was thinking like when did I meet you? And this is actually a good story. I never do this, but this is a rare time I can ever tell a nice story about Mike Shoestock. But my comedy dad, and if he ever heard me say that, I would cry. My comedy dad, Mike Shoestock, I think you were at the Hartford Funny Bone, and he was like, this guy from Salt Lake City, Rodney Norman's up on stage right now. He's really funny. And I took him at face value. I walked in the room to see what was happening because I was still allowed at that club at the time. And you were basically telling people that went to Walmart were stupid. And I fell in love immediately. I was like, this guy's great. You looked vastly different. But the comedy was still there. I was like, this guy is hilarious and squeaky clean. So the opposite of me, but like still
Uh-huh.
gravitated right towards you because funny is funny. I don't care. I know that's like a bit of yours and stuff, and I probably am beating it like awfully to death. But it was just so funny. And like, it's a rare thing when you meet someone immediately and then just like them, whether it's music, comedy, or whatever. I think as a comic watching another comic, we always want to be arms crossed and be like, I am better. They don't deserve any opportunity ever.
Yeah, we have that immediate, am I funnier than them?
Oh, of
If
course.
you're funnier than them, then it's like, well, okay, I can hang out with them. But if you think they're funnier than you, it's like, this guy's a dick.
Well, you're a big philosophy guy. Do you think that's because of like let's face it, most comedians are socially awkward people. Is that like just because of our survival instincts because we're used to
Yes.
the
Oh,
funny?
oh, absolutely. Yeah, we see every comedian is a threat.
Right. Like they're
And
going to take
and
away my drink tickets that I need.
yes, and it's the most ridiculous thing because it's like, look, if comedy is doing well, we all do well.
Yeah. Oh my God. Ham and
I
I have
mean,
said that forever. It's like we're not supposed to be competing with other comedians. We're supposed to be competing with karaoke nights, stuff like that, other forms of
yes, yes.
entertainment. Yeah, we're supposed to make
Yeah,
the
when
genre
comics get
thrive.
yeah, when comics get, territorial and all that stuff, it's like this is so silly.
Yeah.
This is so
It's not
silly.
exclusive though. I used to do music and bands are worse. The only thing is there's just more people because there's five people in a band. So you just have five people being catty all in their own ways. You're like, oh man, I prefer comedy to music for a lot of ways. One, less people to be catty, but two, I also don't have to lug my drum set anywhere. Now I can just talk and that
Yeah.
seems to get the job done usually. But you've been doing a lot of stuff lately. I mean, so are you in Connecticut right now? You're always in a different state. Every day I talk to you, you're like, well, I'm in Antarctica right now. So
Yeah, I move quite a bit. I'm on the move all the time. But
I
yeah, I'm
love it.
currently home. I'm currently in Connecticut. So I'll be here for a few weeks and then We're off to Virginia, and then I'm going to perform a wedding in Colorado.
Nice.
Yeah, and then
Ooh, that
yeah,
we'll have to maybe snag you then, because we were talking about maybe having you here in Lincoln too. So it's like when you're on your way to Colorado, because you're a big driver too. That's what I always appreciated about you too. Whether or you fly too and stuff, but like you
yeah,
drive quite a
it's
bit.
kind of whatever. Yeah, whatever kind of works out best. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, I flew to
I'm not
Vegas.
opposed to driving.
I like flying. I usually do it to like certain gigs if I'm just going to do like a bunch in one spot, but I love a good drive. Even if it's like more money and more time consuming, I'm like, fuck it. You know what? Let's drive 20 hours round trip for this
Yes,
weekend somewhere. Cause you get that like adventure. And I've always been, I mean, we all know this about me, like just a romanticizing the hell gig. I mean, that's literally my act. Like I went somewhere and it was terrible. Can you believe it? And you're like, yes, Brian, you performed in a bathroom. Like we all
yeah,
saw that coming,
but you
except
never
you.
talk about the good ones.
Yeah, well, I don't know. There's ones that you just never know. They're so niche or they're so good. I always like being surprised by a place I go to. And like for instance, and not like my birthday was recently, and we used to run a show in the smallest little record store together. And I thought our show was so fun, but the fact that the record store just posted about it, like we miss I Can't Comedy. And I was like, damn, man, I miss it too sometimes, you know? But like that place was such a little
Yeah,
diamond in the rough. Willimantic Records, like you would never know in that plaza because it moved. Like there was a dope record store in there because there was just people like scary in front of the pawn shop in front of it. But then two, there's live comedy and well, our thing was like we were like assessing LPs and stuff. But that was we were big on
that was
that.
a lot of fun. Right?
It
Is he
was a lot of
still?
fun.
Is
Uh,
it? Did he move? He moved his location.
Yeah, so COVID happened, and I don't remember exactly what the circumstances were, but he is in another shop in Willimantic now, and still like doing well too. Like it was great to like see that post too, because I was like, oh, because I moved out of Connecticut, so it's like I still want to stay on top of like, but I was wearing my Willimantic record shirt the other day too. I was like, fuck yeah, like it was a
Yeah,
dope little spot. I mean, we bought our record player there and stuff, but yeah, you and I and Ham, we did a show where we would listen to like old LPs and then basically for 3 hours uh get off
dissect it.
topic and then also be like, do these jokes stand the test of time? But it was very enlightening to listen to like because I know the first one we did, Gallagher, rest in peace. That's why I started thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, how is Gallagher's audio only gonna be even good? And then he crushes. We were like, this is hilarious. And he's smoking a joint on stage. We're like, this is not the Gallagher I remember as a child. So it was pretty cool. And there was like, I don't know, it was just cool. Like we listened to Carlin and Miles came and like knew the words to like everything. It was very
Oh yeah,
interesting.
I
Yeah,
remember that one.
got us on the radio. Just weird things you would never expect. I don't know. Just thinking about all that. I do miss that show, but it's like now that exists in like the millions, but like the internet has taken the opposite. I think me and you were more like, this is interesting, this is thought provoking, and now people are like, hey guys, we're gonna hate watch this and just like call these guys assholes, and they're just
Huh.
watching Brendan Schaub like bomb for 25 minutes. They're like, can you believe that? And you're like, yeah, I can. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's well, that's the thing. I think eh, we've I think the internet has kind of created this you're either for it or against it attitude on everything. It's
Yeah.
like you can't be nuanced. I mean, you either hate somebody or you love everything they do. And it's kind of ridiculous. It's very childish, to be honest with you. Because,
There's a lot
most
of
people,
levels to it. Like the
well,
more
yeah,
popular these get, I notice now I get a lot more likes on YouTube, let's say, but also comes with a lot more dislikes.
oh,
And
absolutely.
and it's like funny because now I get like one person that just auto dislikes everything immediately. It's like, do you even dislike it or are you just because some people they'll just be like, this sucks, and then you'll be like, you suck, and they'll be like, haha, I was just kidding, and you're like, oh, this is your fun is just have, but like there's pros and cons to both sides. I think the internet ultimately is obviously a pro all across the board to
Oh,
comedy,
sure.
entertainment, and whatever, because there's, I'm looking at one person that literally blew the fuck up because of it. You were making videos. I mean, we were doing that show, and then all of a sudden you were too famous to even get a hold of. I was like, where is Rodney? No, you had just I don't, I'm not even trying to just glorify this too much. You had instant success, I would say. You had a few videos just go immediately viral, but you, unlike a lot of people with that luck, and success, you stuck with it too. You have like a very loyal fan base, and you've stayed consistent with making quality videos. I think it was more like you were already fucking awesome, and then people finally realized it, and then you were able to just continue doing what you were already doing.
Yeah, it's
Which
like
is like, thank God. It must have been
yeah.
very validating. I can only imagine.
Well, it's a lot of fun when you make a video and people are actually going to watch it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, that
you
is
spend
true.
you spend all that time thinking about something, you write it, and planning it, and then you put it out there, and it gets like 4 likes, and two of those are from me and my wife, and then the other two people I've never heard of who probably just found
Yeah.
it by accident.
You're
Just
trying
like
to
like
counteract
my
the
shirt.
dislike ratio. You're like, I should like
Yeah,
this myself just to get
yeah,
back to 50-50 at least. Yeah, I feel that in a lot of ways too. I mean, that translates also to comedy. Like, there's those jokes where you spend hours tinkering with it. Like, maybe I'll use this word instead of this word, and it's never getting the reaction you want. It's just kind of like a meh across the board. And then you spend 10 seconds on the dumbest thing you've ever thought of. And then everyone's like, whoa, dude, that is a knee slapper. Like, that might be your best joke ever. And that, I think that happens with videos a lot
oh,
too.
absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
I haven't had like the video success you've had, but my claim to fame is I've had some memes go viral. And that was just preposterous in and of itself, to see people just be like literally, this is the dumbest thing I ever, like, I was taking a shit when I made this, and people were like, this is so me. And I'm like, wow, I was glad I was able to encapture this moment. when I
Well, I think it's those brilliant moments that we have of just pure honesty and
hmm,
vulnerability, and I think that's what people connect with. They just they
that,
they they get a feeling of the real aspect of it. The
yeah,
real spontaneous feel to it, and uh, trying to recapture that. That's where I think a lot of people fail. Is instead of trying to recapture it, just keep doing what you were doing instead of trying to go back and try to, because you see people that will make a video, goes viral, and then you see the next 20 videos, they're just trying to recreate that same thing.
yeah. I talked
It's
about
like,
that a
okay,
lot
the
with
moment's over.
Adam.
Yeah.
Yesterday. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Me and Adam Parisi talked about that a lot yesterday. Was just, I think we're so tunnel vision. Sometimes we forget that comedy is like a very present thing. That's also why, like, you hear things like, you're much funnier in person than when I see you on YouTube. It's like, yeah, no shit. You can see how funny the chair is that I made fun of for 20 minutes or whatever. But also, that's what we try and do. We try and recapture that, but we can never really capture it. That's also why comedy is probably the least respected art form, because it's like, you listen to songs that you like over and over and over again, but you're not like, I gotta get that bit back on where he says that thing about can openers and just being frustrating or whatever. Like, maybe a diehard fan, but like, it gets less and less and less when it's like, how, like, what the joke's about, who it is, like the marketability. Larry the Cable Guy is huge out here, but oh well.
Yeah. Well, most comedy has a shelf life.
Of course, you want to be like, and that's another thing too, is we always want to be topical and stuff like that. I think the poison right now is the trying to please the algorithm or whatever, instead of just doing whatever you want to do, because you always are doing that and you do that and stuff, whatever. And I mean, shit, like Howie Mandel's like dueling your videos and stuff, but then you have the other coin where I'm like, why does this have 500,000 views? And it's just because a bunch of people are clicking it because they're like, this person sucks. Like, why? Or I don't know. There's just like this over like, heckler gets owned. And then you just cut to like open micer, clearly at open mic. And they're like, you like chips? And the guy's like, no. And you're like, and then they're like, how is that? Like, and then, but I watched it because I clicked it like an idiot because I wanted to see it. And I'm like, oh, God damn it, I fell for it. I don't know. I think I'm a sucker for a good caption. Like, I'll share the Onion article, but I didn't read it. I was taken by the headline. I think that's what it is. I solved my own problem, Rodney. Thank you. My sensationalism addiction.
There you go. Well, people are constantly looking for something new, especially on the internet. You don't want to come on here and just watch and see the same things over and over again. That's why I tell people stop chasing the algorithms. And me, I started reading all the stuff about how to go viral and all that kind of stuff. And what I found was I went viral by doing the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so, I'm trying to think
it's like, as a comic, if you're chasing the audience and you're always trying to please the audience, you're never going to get anywhere. Because if you are successful at that, you're never original enough to really go beyond just being funny in front of a regular audience, but you're never going to grow an audience. You're never going to do anything new or unique.
Your intent's not in the right place. You're trying to grow something that's not right. Like, your comedy should be the most important thing to you, not your, that's like the problem with, I think, people when they first start comedy is because they're blindsided by a lot of things because you have like, scumbag bookers that take advantage of them. But also it's like, I always say it's the worst time because it's like, it's the only time where all your friends will come see you, but it's the time you should never want anyone to come see you do comedy. It's this weird, like the first year of comedy is awful because I remember I used to have friends come see me all the time. And then like, they didn't come back for like 9 years. They were like, do you have new jokes? I'm like, yes, it's been a decade. I have 2 new jokes. Please come back.
Yeah, I ran into somebody one time and she said that she hadn't told anybody that she was doing comedy and she wanted to keep it a secret. And I said, that is the smartest thing you could ever do. I said, give yourself a year. Don't tell anybody you're doing it. Just do it. And then when you get strong and you know what you're doing, that's when you invite the family and friends because they're always going to think of you as exactly what you were the first time they saw you. So get good before you have that moment.
That's very true. And all the comics are only going to think of you as an open mic or wherever you started, even if you've been doing it for 14 years or whatever. But yeah, that's very, very true. You got to treat it like you're a stripper. Do it at least 45 minutes from where you live. So no friends and families, if you don't want anyone to know. But I think that it's true because also, I don't know, you wouldn't want someone to come see you do if you change the thing to like instead of comedy to any other job, it sounds crazy. Like, hey, I've been going to bars and signing up to do amateur dentistry on people unsuspectingly. Did you guys know there was live dentistry here tonight? Like, you've been being a dentist? Like, are you getting paid for that? Like, yeah, sometimes, but not real. It just sounds bizarre. And I think
usually I do it for free floss.
Right. And then the other thing I think that comes with that territory too, with I hate when people call them civilians, people that don't do comedy. I like the term pedestrian. It sounds way better. But pedestrians have that mentality of like they find out you do it and then they'll do this thing like, I've always wanted to, but I could never get up there. You're brave or whatever, but people tell me all the time I should do it. And it's like this weird way where they're just going to tell you ideas they've had for jokes. Like, and is this not relatable? I feel like I encourage it. People will come up to me after a set and they'll be like, do you want to hear a joke? I'm like, oh yeah, I want you to tell me a joke, please. Like I get like excited. Yes.
Oh no, that just happened to me. I was doing a club in Utah this last weekend, and
yeah,
after the show, a lot of people, after a show, they just want to say, "Hey, you're really funny," blah, blah, all
Not for
that stuff.
me.
And so I come off the stage, and this guy says, "Hey, I got to talk to you," and so I'm like,
Mm.
"Sure." And he goes, "So I'm sitting in my car the other day, and there were these two guys. They were outside my car, and I'm just sitting there in my car, and I was thinking about getting some lunch, and I was trying to decide where to go, and so I was on my phone. I was looking at restaurants nearby, and then one of the guys just comes walking up to the car, and I'm like, "Well, what's going on with this guy?" And then, they don't look scary or anything. So I rolled my window down, and he just looks at me and goes, "Are you lost?" And I'm like, "No, no." And the guy goes, "Oh, okay." And then he walked away, and I thought he was homeless. And he goes, "You can use that in your act." And I'm like,
You're like, I'm gonna use it on a podcast tomorrow, actually.
but it was just he thought that it was so funny that he's like that somebody he thought was homeless was trying to help him. That was
Yeah.
his whole joke, and he wanted me to use that. I'm like, "Oh wow." And
That
you just got to sit there and smile and go, "Yeah, that's pretty interesting."
I love that. See, yeah, I entertain it. I don't want to. I'm not trying to be a one-upper, but I haven't thought about this in years because I feel like I've tried to black it out of my memory. But one
Yeah.
time, I won't say where because I may or may not have been smoking weed in my car in front of the venue. But I was just kind of sitting in the passenger seat of my car doing drugs with the door open. I had been driving all day. I was alone. It is what it is. That I'm in shorts, that's the vibe I'm putting down. This guy walks up to me and he just goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Fuck." I realize he's not a police officer, so I'm like, but I'm still gonna have to talk to him. He probably wants some of the weed or something. So I just go
Yeah.
like, "What?" I'm just off-putting. And he goes, something. He goes, "Are you one of the comedians?" And then I look, there's like a chalkboard like saying like comedy tonight. I'm like smoking right in front of where I'm about to. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me actually." I point at the name, blah, blah, blah. And then he points, there's like an alleyway, he goes, "You want to see this book I just read? Or I just wrote?" And I go, "No, sorry, I haven't thought about it in forever." He goes, "You want to see this book I just wrote?" And that is so vivid because it caught me so off guard. I've never been provoked that way. Like, "Do you want to see this book I wrote down this alley?" I was like, "No." I just said no again. And then he goes, "All right, I got a joke for you. Tell that one where you get done beating it up and then it looks like a bulldog that ate yogurt." And then just walks away. I know I remember that part because that was so crazy. I said that on stage immediately. He skipped so many layers. When you get done beating it up, it looks like a bulldog that ate yogurt. I'm like, "Sir, that is the most vile thing anyone has ever said to me unprovoked in my life." But also, what is going on in your life? I do want to read the book now, honestly. If I'm being honest, the
Yeah.
book has caught my attention. you know, I do want to see it. Yeah, it was so bizarre. I'm sorry I butchered it, but like, yeah, dude, the preposterousness of I found this new way to do it. When people will be like, "Do it, can I tell you a joke?" or like, "Tell me a joke" or something. I ask them what their job is, and then I ask if I can start doing shit at their job. I don't even like. I just get into that. I'm like, "What do you do?" And then like they're like, "I work at Verizon." I'm like, "Oh, can I come by and like sell some cell phones or something sometime?" Or like, I
Yeah.
just get into that, and then they're like, "No, that's weird." And I'm like, "Right, okay."
Or you ask him so what do you do for a living? "Oh, uh, I'm a road construction guy." Well, you know what? Let me tell you how you should build a road. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
because
exactly.
I don't, because clearly I know more about building roads than you do.
Exactly. Just
Um,
start giving them advice about their job. Exactly. Like, if I can show you a few tricks or something. I had the best one ever. I was so proud of myself, but I didn't mean to shut him down as well as I did. I was testing the mic. This is very recently. This drunk guy walks all the way up to the stage. So he's going to be fun. And he's going to be really quiet while he's that close. He screams, "Are you even funny?" I go, "I don't know." is anyone even funny? I mean, are you funny? And then he goes, well, comedy's subjective, really. And I go, interesting. And then I go, all right, we're going to start in 5 minutes. He just answered his own question. It was so funny. I was like, we don't even have to do the show tonight, Brian. You kind of knocked it out of the park with that one. He goes, well, it's subjective. Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, okay. Now
Yeah.
we're back to one. You can go sit down now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll find out in 5 minutes, I guess. It was, yeah, it's very fun and stuff. So with I guess like let's say the success in like getting videos going popular and stuff, have you noticed that in a translation for like the shows you've been doing? Do you think like now like people come out to see you and like you have more of like your audience there? It's kind of like you can get a little looser, or you can get a little more like inside baseball with it, or are you still like, is it more like 50-50?
It's about 50-50. I mean, I have shows that are specifically that audience is there for me.
Yeah.
But I still do enough stuff that, I'm kind of famous-ish. You know what I mean? I'm not
I'm just
not
proud
the
of
one
you. I'm
drawing
gonna keep bragging
thousands.
about you forever, man. I'll be like, I used to do shows in a record store with that guy. Other shows too, at like Shays in Manchester and stuff, but we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah. But it's a different relationship you have with the audience when they already know who you are,
Yeah,
because
I
and they do,
agree.
they want to know more about you. They want to get to know you more, so you can do a little more of that inside baseball kind of stuff, which is liberating, because now you get to joke and talk about things that, because they have a different perspective of you and they know more about you, so you just have a lot more freedom that way. But I still have a lot of fun getting in front of groups that don't know who the hell I am, and
Yeah.
winning
And
them
that's the
over is still a
best to
lot of
see
fun.
you in that element. I love doing a show with you. And then they're like, who are these two homeless people on the show? But like also like you, I think both of us, but you on unsuspecting people are very fun to watch and watch you win them over. Me, it's a little more aggressive. I think we have our different styles and stuff, but you, it's like so
Oh,
fun to
definitely.
watch. You have this
Yeah, and it's fun
adorableness.
just playing with what they, because what they are expecting, you never
Right.
give them that, and that's the fun part. And
Yeah.
you pull that off this in your own way too, because I've seen you go into crowds that, those gigs we've done several where the crowd didn't even know there was going to be a show,
Mm.
and so they're not invested in it, and then you go up there and just start messing with them, and you turned it into a show. I think half the time they didn't even think it was really supposed to be a comedy show, that you were just up there setting the mic up for some folk singer that was going to come in later, and all of a sudden you just started talking to people.
That's kind of my
And
vibe, though, is like, did he start? Is this the mic check? What's really going on?
yeah,
Is he kind of just explaining his inner dialogue? But and I appreciate that compliment. Thank you very much. I think, again, that just comes down to bring it kind of full circle a little bit, like survivability. I think that was like, I've kind of always equated bombing on stage with drowning. And I know even if you don't know how to swim, like if you start drowning, your body instinctively starts to swim. So like, I don't remember what show. It was probably something awful. And for whatever reason, I feel like I learned this lesson at the Hungry Tiger. um, which is a great little dumpster fire if you're ever in Manchester, Connecticut. Check it out. 10,000 years running. But fucking, I remember just being like, I was very like, for first few years, like, even if like there was a lot of people at the open mic, I'm probably going to do my set because I didn't want to get rid of that security net. I wanted to crush. I didn't want to do poorly in front of a lot of the people, but I always had trouble with confrontations, like dialogues. Like this is one of the meanest, nicely put critiques I ever got about my stand-up that broke my heart is you're really good at the monologue, but you're not good at the dialogue. And I was like, I will set this comedy club on fire, right now over this. Like, but it was a strong lesson to learn. It's not only was I not good at crowd work, it was my retorts to like being like confronted with a heckle or being like talked down to. I didn't have anything funny to say, and I would kind of just do the new comic thing where you just kind of a meltdown like immediately. And I had to like kind of figure all that out. But I think it was like the first time I ever went like off script and just handled it how I would handle it in real life. Like, not like like shut the fuck up to someone like heckling, like, hey, could you please stop talking? Like, you're being kind of ridiculous, or like whatever, like acknowledging it for like whatever it really was. And that kind of changed the game for me in a lot of ways. I think you like with you, like to go back to me complimenting you, yours was like, yeah, you take advantage more so of like they're expecting me looking like this, it's probably going to go like this. So I'm not only going to take advantage of it, I'm going to go like times 10 that to show them they were wrong. Like I'm going to, go like real smart, real hard, real funny, like real quick or whatever it is you do. You know what I mean? Like they're expecting aloof, like they look at both of us. I think this is our similarity why I'm thinking about it like this. I don't think I get taken seriously immediately. I've gotten laughs and I haven't said anything yet. So I don't like those laughs. So I think that's where I get a little bit like, what's your fucking problems? And I think you're more like gotcha. Like, yeah, I got you in the trap. Like you're like, nah, you're gonna fucking laugh harder now. You know what I mean? I think you use that more to your advantage strategically. Whereas more I'm like sassy about it. But I think the same thing, like it's the same sort of like setup because bad comedy, they have a lot of that. Like I think that's the first laugh you get when you're terrible and you first start. You write your first set when you first start doing comedy, you practice it in the hairbrush 10,000 times, then you do it, then you realize that's not how comedy works at all. And then the first joke I think you write that gets a laugh is usually like some sort of self-deprecating, like I look like blah blah blah, and then everyone's like,
so and so married so and so and had a baby.
Yeah, right. And then that's your first 5 minutes. It's just self-deprecating. Maybe you end on a I drink too much joke. And then eventually that runs its course. And then you're like, okay, that may just be my opener. And then I don't know. I don't too much inside baseball right now. But yeah, I think finding like not only what your skill sets and using it to your advantage is so important in comedy, but also like that monologue dialogue thing fucking crushed me to like this point where I was like, I mean, I would consider myself a crowd worky comedian now. You know what I mean? Like I took that more like, I'm going to work out that muscle a little bit then. I will be petty about this.
Well,
but
which is good because really when it comes down to it is it's all dialogue.
Yeah, it's all dialogue.
When you finally comprehend that it's a conversation you're having with the audience, even though they may not be speaking to you
rhetorically,
they're engaged with you, they're responding to you, so there is a dialogue. And when you lose focus on that, when you're so focused on, I tell people, when you're so focused on what you're saying and so focused on how you're saying it, and worried about the words that you're saying, you're missing out on 90% of communication, because communication is everything else. The way you look, the way you stand, your posture,
it's the context,
voice, your pacing, everything. It's all involved. And that's what I tell people. Everything about you is part of that joke. And until you comprehend that and understand it, you're just going to be a person up there saying words.
Right. You yourself are the context to all of it. And that's why like having like some people that know you add some more like contextual like structure to stuff and stuff like that. But also like whatever you're presenting to them is all they know about you. And it's not that I would say like it's a dialogue. I don't necessarily disagree with that statement, but I think it's like more like that you have to like the realization that like this is a show. The literal word of the word show, because comedy is this acting gig of like acting like this is the most nonchalant, I didn't even know this was fucking going down tonight. But since y'all are here, let me tell you about all the shit that happened the other day. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's like when you step out of it for like 2 seconds, go, no, there was a fucking flyer. I bought a ticket. That guy said your name. There's literally a spotlight on you. This couldn't be any more like pre-planned. I mean, like, you know, open mics and bars, those are a little more like unplanned, I guess I would say. But hey, you didn't see the flyer in front of the one urinal, so that's not our fault that the promotion didn't get across. But you know what I mean? I think that's what like we comics tend to forget. We're like, I just need to go up there and just talk about my day. That's what Bill Burr does. It's like, no. No, you need to go fucking right.
The trick is making it look like you just thought of it.
Right. It's the acting of like, oh
yeah, a lot of that is just being present. You know, a lot of that is just being there, and they know that you're there with them having that experience. So you're not just a guy up there that memorized a bunch of stuff and is up there reciting it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'll tell people an easy thing to do is, you know, when you first get up there, make fun of the room, make fun of what's going on around you.
Yeah.
And then the audience automatically thinks that everything you say from that point on is just coming off the top of your head because you're there and you're present, you're acknowledging it.
And when you watch someone do that so masterfully, and I think the person I can say that I've seen do it the best and so consistently, and it must be he just sat there and wrote like a manifesto, is Dave Sheehan. That dude, literally his opening like 20 minutes will just be destroying the room. And then he'll like finally start doing jokes. And I'm only saying finally because his jokes are also fucking awesome. So you're like, thank God this dude. And he's a fucking beast, dude. And I think that came out of like him. You know, he was doing comedy since the 90s. So when I started in 2009, he was like, you know, a well-established dude. But I think him coming out of his shell and doing roast battles, you know, really helped him capture that skill set of him. And then now he just goes and like, not only is like headlining and destroying, but like, that's what I'm anticipating. I'm like, I can't wait to watch Sheehan like fucking destroy this room. Like shit, I didn't even notice because I like to pick apart the room a little bit too. I'm more of like a body language. Where's the guy with the arms crossed? Like I'm more of like a who's the bear I'm gonna poke a little bit? Who's gonna be the sacrifice so I have a good set? Sheehan's like, did you guys notice the light structure in this fucking building? And then I'm like looking up, like, oh my God, this motherfucker's about to do 10 minutes on chandeliers. Like, no way. No way.
Yeah, he's so smart and just got that razor sharp wit. It's such a dry delivery. I love Sheehan. I love working with him, dude.
Yeah. And having roast battling him, that dry wit has only come back to bite me in the ass because he is stone faced, saying funny ass shit about you, and then I laugh because it's funny, and I just laugh at everything because if I don't laugh, then I'll actually get my feelings hurt. So it's like that's my defense. Like he's tearing me apart, you know. But then he doesn't laugh at mine, so I'm like, well, I'm gonna lose now because he got bigger laughs because I laughed. No, Andy's funnier than me, but yeah, that's just like I think those are the things. But you. I mean, I've learned a lot just from watching you too, and like having our record store show. This is where I am going to fanboy on you a little bit. It was nice having that sort of dynamic when we would talk because, you know, at the time, this was like 3-4 years ago. So I was like 10, 11 years into comedy. You had like a decade on me. And then we had Sweet Baby Hammy, who was like, you know, 3-4 years into comedy. And it was like this awesome... Because she's also like so far above her years. She smokes me at most shows and I have to like open for her now at this point. But like, but it just showed you like the wisdom and like I learned a lot from both of you, like seeing things from her eyes for the first time. I get those joys a lot. And, you know, seeing you like have like similar experiences or you like help me in certain ways. I've always appreciated having that balance and stuff. But like, is there anything, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a good question to ask because I feel like I want to ask you like 10,000 questions right now. That's what I'm kind of setting up. So I want to like pick your brain. Like, what do you think? Because I hate when podcasts always be like, they don't want to hear about this insider baseball stuff. I want to fucking hear about it. So it's like, I'm sure other people do too. What do you think the most crucial lesson in comedy you've learned in the past like couple of years is? Like, what do you think the most like a good discipline you've learned? Like you said, you looked up going viral and stuff like that. Maybe one of your practices, like just in your everyday sort of like staying fresh, staying like consistent.
I remember one night I was MC at the Club and Wise Guys in West Valley, and I was trying to do. I don't even I don't even remember the bit or what I was doing, but I was trying to do something that I thought was funny, and I get up
Aren't we
there and
all?
I yeah, and I got up there and I ate it. I mean, I just ate it. I mean, it was just there was just no two ways about it. The audience did not think it was funny. They little respect they had for me before was completely gone. I mean, it was just horrible, right?
Mm.
And so I come walking off the stage, and the owner of the club, his name's Keith Stubbs, he just looks at me and goes, "Good Lord, Rodney, what the hell was that?" And I'm like, "Huh?" And then he goes, best advice I'd ever heard. He says, "If you were back here watching that, would you be um, excited about it? Would you like what was going on up there?" And I'm like,
Ooh.
"No." And he goes, and then he just walked away. And it just hit me. I thought, that's it. I'm spending all my time trying to do what I think the audience wants and what I think the audience thinks will be funny. And I don't know I don't know what the audience wants. I don't. But it was just that moment of, okay, what do I want to watch? What do I want to see up there?
Mm-hmm.
And that moment, that just flipped everything for me. And then I stopped worrying about the audience. I stopped worrying about trying to please everybody. I thought, just get up there and be if you believe you're funny and you're confident with what you're doing, the audience is going to go with you. And and I tell people, it's that moment when you realize that it's like a moth to a flame. They're attracted to it because it's a flame. They're attracted because there's something about it that they're drawn to. And you've got to learn how to be that. You've got to just do your thing. And
Well, they're
don't worry
there.
about
That
trying to
is
be
there.
like
You're
everybody else.
drawn.
Yeah.
You have them. You have them
Yeah, they're
already.
already
All you have
there.
to do is
You just gotta deliver. And for that moment on, it changed the way I did comedy. It would change the way I wrote. It changed everything. And it was just that, I think to him it was just a silly off the hand comment he made one night because I was eating it. But
mm-hmm.
man, it hit me. And kind of like your moment when they said, "Hey, you're good at the monologue, but not the
Yeah.
dialogue." That was my moment. That was that. Hey, I need to. I'm here to put on a show and have these people are coming out here to have a good time. I need to deliver. I need to hold up my end of the bargain and actually give them something that's worth listening to.
What
Yeah.
are you saying? People don't want to pay $25 to watch someone in a hoodie mail it in? Are you sure? Are you
Yeah. Yeah.
sure?
Hey, so what do you guys want to talk about?
Well, don't do all my
Yeah.
material right now because I'm gonna have to put out a new thing soon.
Well, well, no, it's so funny when you watch comics. It's like you're doing 7 minutes of material, and 4 minutes of it you're sitting there going, "Yeah, man, I'm just going off the hip, man. I don't know what I'm doing." Hey, and it's like you knew this show was going to happen. Why don't you have something? I mean,
But
you know what I mean?
that reel will have fucking 10 million views. What do you guys want to talk about? And it's like comedian
It's
totally
true.
doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's my favorite because it's only yeah, like I've noticed that too. Like it's only comedians that ever like those videos. If you read the comments, it's just people like you suck. Like you call
Yeah,
that a Ryan Reynolds impression? Like, whoa, it's like they're getting personal on this one. You know what I mean? It's never like that's a lot of the thing too. It's like what is getting a fuck ton of views. That's what I always tell people because like I a lot of the times if anyone ever makes the mistake of asking me for advice, one of the things it's like when you said the deliver thing. I always tell people you only have to be funny tonight. Like, it doesn't matter what you do tomorrow. It doesn't matter what you did the
Yeah,
last show. You just got to be funny tonight. It doesn't matter if you do all local references. It doesn't matter if you shit on the chair for like fucking an hour. It doesn't matter if you do jokes from 10 years ago. You just have to be funny tonight and be the
yeah,
hometown hero or whatever. Like,
yeah,
but like, it's kind of like a dumb way to look at it because you don't want to. It doesn't want to be so bleak. You want to be like, yeah, I don't care if there's 300. I care sometimes, but like, that's it. It kind of takes the pressure off of it if you're like, you just gotta go out there and be funny. Who gives a fuck? Like, but then I also
yeah.
forget that public speaking is most people's biggest fear. You know?
Well, I have fun with that.
Yeah,
Because I know that, when you get up there on that stage, the audience, they're they would never do it.
yeah.
They're scared to death to do what you're doing. And then when
I
you
have.
get up there and you're doing things that they would never in a million years even begin to pretend that they would do in front of a large audience.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I have
It's
friends that are
fun.
funnier
And
than
then when you're
me.
doing it, you're doing these things that they would be scared and embarrassed to do, and then you're confident about it. It blows their mind.
Yeah.
They don't even know how to register it.
Yeah, I have friends that are funnier than me, and I'm like, if you did stand up, you would be successful. And they're like, I don't want to do that. I'm too afraid or whatever and stuff like that. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Like I have two brothers. One of my brothers really, really wants to do stand up, but he never did. And then my youngest brother, he also likes stand up, and he's done it like twice, but he's like 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was fun to watch too, because I was like, oh my, he crushed. The first time he crushed. Second time, it happens. But I'm like, hey, at least you got your bomb out of the way first, like second try. It took, sometimes it takes a few. I'm still waiting for my first bomb. One day I'll have no, every day, every goddamn day I do
Well,
it.
I think I get to the point where, if you really want to shake things up, if you feel like your act is kind of stagnant or whatever, I tell people go up there with the intention of bombing. Go up
Mm,
there and be the worst you can be.
sabotage.
And you'll find that you your natural instincts take over, because that's what
Yeah.
happens is that your subconscious goes, look, we can't do this. We got to survive. We got to pull this out.
It's the drowning
And you
theory.
force yourself. Yeah, you force yourself to recreate yourself and do something different.
Yeah.
And it's just saying, look, it's okay if I bomb. I don't care if I bomb. I'm actually going to
Yeah.
go for that. And once you do that, you let go of all that concern and that anxiety and that fear, and you do it, and you just have fun.
Well, it's
And
the insecurity of not being liked is also the fear that cripples us, but also the confidence and fuel delusion that drives us. It's very weird how it's the catalyst to both.
yes, yes,
Because you're like, if they don't like me, I'm fucked. So then you go above and beyond, then you tap dance, and then you're like, I did it. And they're like, that was great. And you're like, thank God. But then you're like, they don't like me. This is going to ruin my life because 12 people saw me do an unfavorable performance that they won't remember word for
yeah.
word, even slightly.
I love to tell people. I remember I had a friend of mine who was headlining for the first time ever, and he was so nervous because he'd been promoting it. He had sold the crowd out, sold it out. I mean, there was everybody and anybody he could think of was there to watch him do this show, and he's back there and he's all nervous and he's just all this concerned. And I looked at him. I said, I want you to know something. Tonight doesn't matter. This will not make your career. It will not break your career. It doesn't matter. The only thing
Mm,
that matters is you get up there and have fun. And it was funny because afterwards he goes, he says, I was so worried about it. And then once you told me that, I was like, he's right. And I just went up there and goofed off and I had a great time. And he says, I do that now. He goes, I now have that attitude every time I get on stage. Is
my
that
first time hosting was like that. I'll bring him up again because it's not a nice story. This is more like it. This is a Mike Shoestock story. My first time hosting anything ever, Marlboro Tavern, a bar that's been open since the 1700s. I don't even think it's there anymore. But regardless, I'm like reading through my notebook, like trying to figure out whatever I can scrap together for an opening set to like host this mic or whatever. And Mike, in his infinite wisdom, walks up to me, slaps my notebook out of my hand and on the ground, and goes, "You're not going to get funnier in 10 minutes. Just go up there and bomb." And I didn't bomb. I did say Eric Barricat's last name as Baccarat because I was so nervous. But other than that, I think I did pretty good.
I've done that same mistake. I've made that very same mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, now he's one of my best friends, but I can't do that now. But yeah, that was like a little bit of a dyslexia nerves. But other than that, like, he was right, though. He's like, you're not going to get funnier in 10 minutes. Like, if anything, you're going to like be more in your head about it, because it's not like you don't know. Like, let's face it, my notebook at the time, and still is the same like set written over and over and over and over and over again. Just like, oh, maybe I'll switch these two today, and then I'm like, nope, that didn't work.
I'm gonna say stone instead of rock. I think it'll be funnier.
Yeah, that will really change it. Not the whole joke is fucked, just the example I'm using in this 10-minute rock joke that I have not found the point of yet. I love you, Poopa. Have fun on the radio. Ham Clancy's leaving. It's all good. Well, we're having a good time. You know, I was just speaking your praises too. So either way. But that's a good lesson though, truly, because I think that seems to be your main thing across the board is like, and it does sound cliche, but it's like, and I know you're not wrong, of like I don't want to say not giving a fuck, but really like staying true to your like individuality and like worrying about like what you like about your stuff and doing what you like to do, you know, and having that, you know, it's always apparent too. You can always tell like when a comedian is like actually enjoying themselves performing, you know, like they're in on it, like they're not a miserable, depressed piece of shit. Necessarily, you know, they might be on the inside, but again, act happy. You're only doing 7 minutes. How hard is it?
It's a performance.
Yeah, you're holding a Hamlet like skull, and you're like, so I took a shit the other day. You know, they're like, we want to be fucking modern day philosophers, but I think that, I mean, that's definitely true. Like when you don't care, also, I feel like when you give up on whatever it is you were like in such like just reeking of desperation for, I feel like then the universe will be like, you can have it now that you like gave up on it. You know what I mean? Because it's like when you put something on a pedestal, you're only going to be focused on how you're being negatively impacted by it, not like you're just only going to see that you're not getting the thing that you have. But as soon as it's like not like a priority, you're like, oh, here. This is something I've told Ham. You know, like in comedy and in general, I always, and you can tell me if you agree with this or not, but like anytime, you know, you feel like someone hands you an opportunity and you're like, I would have been so grateful for this opportunity like a year ago. That means even a year ago, you were probably already past that point. But now someone wants to like not take advantage, but like can see it for what it is. And now they want to get in on it and they can, you know, oh, like whether it's like you were doing this thing and then they're like, you should do this thing over here. It's like, well, why wouldn't, you know, I don't know. Maybe it gets a little more muddy and stuff, but it's like, I think it was like an easy example is like, I didn't even qualify for a comedy contest one year. And then the next year I won it with like the same set, but it was the attitude I had. It was like, I gave a fuck trying to even qualify for this thing. And like, you know, didn't drink before my set or whatever. And then like the actual contest that I won, I was like blackout drunk. Like, this is stupid. We could have done this at Denny's. And it's like the cabaret theater with like 1,000 people at it. And they're like, what the fuck? Okay. He doesn't care, I guess. But it really was. It was like I think the not caring and the staying true to yourself has to be, as long as it's for the pure intentions of being confident. It comes from a place of like, I'm confident in my skill set and not a sort of arrogant way, like not in like a imposing my superiority on people, but like a true, like, I think this is funny. I know this is funny. And now I'm telling you this because it's fucking funny. And they'll be like, valid. And then it becomes, you know, what you were saying at the beginning. It's like, and you can tell too when something is just fucking pure, honest, and funny. Like you can tell when all that's apparent. And when a person's actually being genuine. And when all that's apparent, even if it's not like your cup of tea or whatever, it's still like, you know, if someone like isn't like in your same mindset, but they saw one of your videos, they'd be like, this is funny. Like not subjectively, like objectively, like it's funny. You know, I think that's just like, you can just tell with shit like that. And like, not when like a nurse is like dancing on TikTok, you're like, I don't think she's finding her voice right now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but
Well, you have to, you know, people connect with things for different reasons, you know, and sometimes we misinterpret what they thought was what they connected to. You know, a lot of times you're, especially like the internet, the videos, it's easy to say, okay, well, they're connecting with me. They think I'm funny. They like me. And it's like, no, they liked what you said
mm-hmm.
because it says something about them. It's not you.
Yeah.
It's the message
Yeah.
or the timing. I mean, there's any number of reasons that they're connecting with you, but it's not always about you. And when you finally realize that, it's very liberating because
It
you don't
is.
have all that pressure. You don't get full of yourself when you realize, look, this video took off not because, or this joke worked not because of who I am, but just because that joke itself was great, or that
Exactly.
moment was great. And being able
Exactly.
to separate yourself from from all of that, really, it
Yeah.
that's how you are able to be confident what you're doing, but not arrogant about it.
Yeah.
Not
You
full of
yourself
yourself.
are not moments. You accomplish moments. That's what it is.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, that's a
Wow.
great,
Why are we being
excellent way
so
to put it.
smart? You know how I know I can prove this? And I guess this is a good place to put a bow on it. I've had some dumb, like, you know, viral like tweets and shit like that too. And one of my best examples is, you know, it was a Connecticut local joke. I wrote that joke. It went like pretty viral and it goes like viral every year because people remember it when they see it in there today in the past. But it's like, I said, living in Connecticut is like waking up with the strong urge to kill yourself. And then you just go to Dunkin' Donuts every morning. And then people were like, that's hilarious. I would tell that joke on stage.
Brilliant.
It would not crush though. People would just kind of like sit with it. And I'd be like, huh, why is this joke getting a bunch of like LOLs and shit then? I moved to Nebraska, right? There's one Dunkin' Donuts in Lincoln. I don't go to it. It sucks. But the popular chain that's everywhere is called Scooters. I literally go, live it. I change it. Verbatim, copy and paste my own fucking joke and go, living in Nebraska is like waking up with the strong urge to kill yourself. And then you just go to Scooters every day. Goes viral immediately. And I'm like, bro, it's not the things that I thought was making it's exactly what you're saying. I thought it was like the hashtag Dunkin' Donuts was getting me there or whatever. It's like, no, everyone's just sad and suicidal and addicted to coffee. This is just fucking universal, bro. Like I'm tapping into this shit. Everyone's sad and just posting existential dread shit all the time. That's the market, baby.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
It's true. But I mean, this you know, I don't put a lot of editing into these. These are going to be up pretty soon. Do you have any plugs or where people can find your stuff if they're not aware of like where to already do that?
Yeah, just Google Rodney Norman. I'm the most famous Rodney Norman there ever has
You
been.
did it.
So nothing gets the other Rodney Normans, but
Yeah.
I'm winning.
I'm almost the most famous Brian Barganier. As soon as that other one stops playing baseball, I'm in, baby. I am fucking in. He's got to stop being so good. I mean, we don't look the same, so that's at least helping me. I still have to put comma comedian if I want it to be all the O's in Google for me. So
Yeah.
I'm still there. So just Google Rodney Norman, all things social media and stuff like that. Rodney, this was so fucking dope, dude. We got to do this again. I didn't expect to get so, I don't know, insightful over dick jokes, but like this was great, dude. Thank you so much, man.
This was a pleasure. It's always a joy to hang out with you, my friend.
Love it, dude. Thank you.